Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome around the globe to Kangen Water Radio, featuring the Kangen Water Health and Information International Call, where we consider, clarify, and often correct the conventional wisdom around Kangen water technology, the different machines, the science behind water types, uses, and benefits, the testing process, the maintenance and cleaning of the machines, and much, much more. We also explore a plethora of other topics as we teach, promote, and discuss the three-pronged approach to health and wellness: hydration, detoxification, and complete macro and micronutrition. I'm family physician, Dr. Lisa Battle Singletary, your virtual keto coach. And I will be joined by my co-host and fearless leader, Mr. Terrence Hope, Enagic 6A distributor extraordinaire. And together we bring you the best of both worlds. Well, this is call number 416. That's 416. And let me do a little mutation here, because for some reason my button's not muting. I think that did it. Okay, so 416, and today we're talking about leaky gut. And I've got a little slideshow for you. I've got some great articles for you, and I've got a couple of YouTube video suggestions if you want to delve more into this whole business of leaky gut syndrome, and I recommend it. So, didn't mean to show you my drink, but I told you I was drinking it, right? I told you I was sipping it. Okay. All right. So before we do all that wonderfulness, well, it looks like we'll be doing the wonderfulness right away. I just got an answer to a question I was wondering, and that was which one of us is going first. So it's me. So let's see. I think we'll go to the PowerPoint first. I like the visual thing, and we'll get right to it. So let's see. I got to share my screen. And I have created for your viewing experience a PowerPoint on leaky gut syndrome. I hope you are seeing my screen. Can you give me a thumbs up, Dale? Are you seeing my screen? I see a thumb. All right, thank you so much. Looks like you're moving around. So that leg must be healing. I'm so glad you're with us today from the hospital. That's amazing. Okay, so leaky gut syndrome. We've heard about it, right? We hear it's tied to everything from just every kind of disease you could think of. And, when I first heard about it, I was like, okay, what's this all about? And how can it be tied? How can the gut be tied to so many things? So I've learned a lot along the way, and I want to share some of this with you. So first, let's just take a look at a sketch of the gut. This is the lining of a gut. This is typical for anywhere from, there's slight changes along the path of the gut, but basically anywhere from the end of the esophagus to the anus, we're going to have this basic histology, these 4 layers. Histology means the study of the cell. So I want to point out 2 structures on it. So they're layers, right? These layers are from the outside down here to the inside. And this white space up here would be the lumen. of the gut. We've talked about the layers before. The lumen is where the food actually passes down, and these finger-like projections, the villi, is where the absorption happens. So of water and of nutrients. So I want you to, we're going to focus on the villi just for a second. But I also want to point out one other structure in this slide, and that's called the Peyer's patch or lymphoid nodules. These patches, and we'll see, I hope I'm gonna blow your mind with a picture of the patches a little later. This is where the gut immunity lies. This is one place where the gut immunity lies. And this is a huge factor. Now down here, the pink things, they're the muscles that propel your gut, that they create peristalsis. We're not really talking about gut motility today, but I want you to also see these yellow projections. There are two major layers of these yellow projections. That's your enteric nervous system. That's the nerves in your gut. And that's how your gut can coordinate its motility, the motion of squeezing the food along. And that's how the gut interacts with your other neurotransmitters. So there's a lot going on in the gut. Okay, let's take a look at the villi though. So remember, villi are finger-like projections. So you see how we jumped down to just look at one villus cross section. And I want to point out a couple things. So we know that this is the lumen where the food substances are passing, the gut bacteria are in there. And this is just one villus. Imagine how many we have lining the entire gut. But inside of each villus, there's a network of capillaries, which are represented by the red arterioles, the blue venules, and the capillaries are the purple areas in between. That's where absorption happens in the blood. So we really do need a lining here to protect the bloodstream from what's in the lumen, right? So the gut lining is very important. But between the capillaries is this green structure, and that's called a lacteal. That's part of our lymphatic system. And this is how, let's say, what did I hear? The Center for Science and, oh my goodness, I can't remember the name of the group, but they wrote an article calling fettuccine Alfredo a heart attack on a plate. And I'm like, okay, how can that be? But what happens is you eat fettuccine Alfredo, which has a lot of fat, that's absorbed directly into the lacteal, and the lacteal carries it back to your main circulation, dumping it up near your neck, and it can cause a fatty embolus. You can also get a fatty embolus with a broken leg, so we're very careful about that. Yeah, that little embolus, that fat globule from that heavily fatty meal can cause a heart attack, depending on where that embolus goes. Okay, but we're talking about the gut. All right. So, yeah, we talked about I do want to say one other thing about these lacteals, because they have like one-way doors, one-way trap doors in. And if there are any cancer cells around, the cancer cells can get into the lacteal and travel from there to anywhere in the body. It's amazing. So we don't hear about that a lot just in general conversation, but the immune vessels in our lacteals are very, very important. Okay, now remember, finger-like projections are the villi, right? Well, on the villi are something called microvilli. Do you see these little tiny hairs on top of the finger-like projections? That is where some serious absorption happens. And our microvilli, and I'm going to take one little square, you see this, of the lining of the villus, and we're going to look at that. So this is that one little square at the top of, or on the lining of the villus, and these are the microvilli. Okay, let me go back. Here's the finger-like projections, the villi. We see 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, 5. We see 5 of them in this picture. One of them we've cut in half. And now we're looking at the lining of the villus, and that's the microvilli. And here we have one that's normal, and here we have one that's leaky. So normally your microvilli have a protective layer of mucus, great mucus layer, right? And the mucus is part of your immune system. And they have something called tight junctions, where the cells of the lining are tightly bound together. And so they can keep things out that are supposed to stay out. And they can allow things in that are supposed to get in. But the healthy tight junctions mean a healthy gut lining. Now, and remember, right inside of that lining was our blood vessel, and it's not shown here, but also our lymphatics. Okay, now let's look over here at the leaky, inflamed gut lining. Well, what's happened? Our mucus production isn't so great. See the mucus here, this light blue layer? Not so much here. And the tight junctions, not so tight. So the tight junctions are, they're calling this faulty or quote unquote leaky. So what can get in? Bad bacteria can get in, food particles that are too large can get in. In a healthy gut, the food particle gaps are around 1 to 7 microns. Now, a micron is really, really, really small, but 1 to 7 is a gap size for food particles to get in. In a leaky gut, food particles up to 200 microns can get in. So that's over 20 times the size that's normal. So there are all kinds of things that get into a leaky gut or get past a leaky gut lining that are not supposed to. Also, things like gluten, ding, 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 can cause inflammation of the gut that causes it to not function properly. Okay, so that's the basic reason for a leaky gut, is that the actual gut lining is leaky, just just the way we see it. And that's because of inflammation. That's because of a bad ratio of bad bacteria to good bacteria and affecting the gap junctions. But then all of those things can get into the bloodstream. That's a problem, right? They also get into the lymphatics. That's a problem, but they also can trigger right on the spot. They can trigger inflammatory reactions. Let me show you. Okay, This is a real cross section of a gut. And these are villi. Now they don't look perfect. So this is the lumen in here, the clear. They don't look perfect because, it's hard to get a perfect live, or not live, but a perfect real sample in a slide this thin. This is a really, really thin section. But what I want to show you is compared to this picture, see this Peyer's patch? Each little dot on this Peyer's patch is a cluster of immune cells just waiting to be triggered. And we love that, right? That's not our front line of defense, but that is a huge line of defense right in our intestines. Take a look though in this, and here we go. Here's another depiction of those immune cells. Like I said, just waiting to take care of any bacteria or inflammatory pathogens that come across. They're not showing those cells here, but you see these big lumps. These are Peyer's patches. Okay, so I hope this is giving you an idea that your immune system in your gut is huge. Each one of those little dots are little clusters of cells just waiting. And if the wrong chemical comes along or a wrong particle comes along, they're going to jump into action. Well, guess what happens? A little bit of a, let's say peanut, because there are a lot of people that have peanut allergies. Now, in a normal gut, that peanut would be broken down, and would possibly not cause any problems whatsoever. But in a leaky gut, bigger chunks of the peanut can get in, and I'm not chunks, it's still really small, okay? But bigger portions of the peanut can get in and just happen to trigger some of these immune cells. They're like, oh, wait a minute, that doesn't belong. That's an alert. And it causes an immune response. It causes your body to start producing antibodies against the peanut. It causes all kinds of immune signaling. Remember, we talked about chemotaxis last time, sending out signals to bring immune cells and immune substances to an area. Now, if what gets through is a bacteria like salmonella, like you have some, okay, this happened to me, all right. I used to travel to Ghana, West Africa, and Togo every year. And so I used to have to get vaccines every year. And one year, the vaccination for typhoid, Salmonella typhi, was not injected, it was oral. I'm like, oral, I'm taking salmonella, but that's because they wanted the immune system directly in my gut to be exposed to this salmon. And let me tell you, I knew the second I swallowed that pill, I knew I was being invaded by salmonella. Weakened, but I could, I don't even know how to describe it, but I wasn't sick, it wasn't like food poisoning, but I knew my immune system was being triggered. Great, and I went to Ghana, came back, beautiful time, beautiful trip, beautiful country, beautiful people, came back. One day at work at Hopkins, in the urgent care center, we ordered Chinese food, and it was bad. It was bad Chinese food, but we couldn't tell, until later. And so about an hour or two after we had the Chinese food, I felt a little queasy and then it was gone. The rest of the people that ate the Chinese food were sick for days. But I had that immunity against salmonella in my gut, and it kicked right in as soon as it was exposed, got rid of the problem. And, you know, I was very thankful that I had gone to Ghana that year, because had I not had that oral typhoid vaccine, I wouldn't have had the same immunity built up. Okay. So that was great for an acute one-time exposure. But if you're eating something like gluten that triggers that immune response day after day, over and over, chronically, then that is the impetus for many diseases, including quote unquote autoimmune diseases. So I hope that gave you a really good idea of the importance of and the impact of the immune system in the gut. That's why they say 70% of your immune system is in the gut. You got teeming millions upon millions of immune cells and immune tissues ready to respond to anything that it doesn't think is supposed to be there. So a blessing if we eat right, and if we just get exposed one time to something, a curse if we're continually eating wrong, triggering the gut immune system and causing an immunity inflammation throughout the body. Okay, so what else do I have for you? And these things will be in the show resources in the description box of the YouTube video. Here we go. Okay, so I've got some great articles. Healthline has an article, Is Leaky Gut Syndrome a Real Condition? An unbiased look. Now this article was 2017. It's usually, that's a little old for us, but it's very good information. And when you scroll down, there are a couple of more articles, including, but I pulled this one out, the Leaky Gut Diet Plan, a little more recent, 2019. Foods to eat, foods to avoid, sample menu. So some good information there. We know, and you will find in the show resources, a link to the video by Dr. Peter Glidden called 12 Bad Foods. And those are foods you must avoid, including the top 4, which produce gluten. So wheat, barley, rye, and oats are the top 4 of the 12. But that is always available in our show resources. I wanted to go to PubMed.gov because, you know, we like not just popular articles, although Healthline is a medically reviewed journal. I went to the PubMed.gov, PubMed.gov. Oh, there it is, PubMed.gov. And in the search bar, I typed in leaky gut, but I also typed in the word review. So that means these articles have looked at several research studies on leaky gut. And I narrowed my focus to the last 5 years. So I just want to share some of these titles with you. leaky gut mechanisms, measurements, and clinical implications in humans. And you can click here and get the full article. Leaky gut, leaky brain. I love that one. Again, the article is available. Exercise-induced stress behavior, gut microbiota, brain axis, and diet. So this is a systemic review for athletes. Leaky gut as a danger signal for autoimmune diseases. Well, I think now we know how leaky gut can be. Here we go. In pathological conditions, the permeability, that means the leakiness of the epithelial lining, the gut lining, may be compromised, allowing the passage of toxins, antigens, and bacteria to enter the bloodstream, creating a leaky gut. Well, that is a leaky gut, entering the bacteria, but then creating a chronic immune or a chronic inflammatory response. Check out this one. All disease begins in the parenthesis, leaky, close parenthesis, gut. And it's talking about chronic inflammatory diseases. So here we got probiotics, prebiotics, leaky gut and autoimmunity, gut dysbiosis. And just in the last 5 years, we've got 156 reviews on leaky gut syndrome. So a lot of really good information available. I also went to YouTube and typed in leaky gut, and I found it's an absolute treasure trove of information about leaky gut syndrome. And I was so delighted to see this video by Thomas DeLauer. Now, he is one of my keto gurus, and he's a nerd, he's a geek, and he goes into research articles, and I just love his information on keto. But he did an article or a video on leaky gut syndrome, and it was only like 5 or 6 minutes, but he gave a lot of information that time. I love Dr. Sten Ekberg. He gave a great discussion of leaky gut syndrome. And there was one more. And I think if I remember, I think I will put the links to these articles. I'm looking for, there he is, Dr. Berg. I was looking for him. He also did a really good job of talking about leaky gut syndrome. Now, he talked more about the role of vitamin C, whereas Thomas DeLauer talked more about the role of glutathione. But again, it's all great information and very practical. So I'm going to cut myself off there. I could talk about this all day because it's so fascinating to me how those little teeny cells, I mean, I remember the first time I saw Pyrus patches under a microscope that I had prepared, I was shocked because they only show you that one little nodule on the drawings, but there are millions and millions of immune cells there. So there you can see where the origin of all of this inflammation, can stem from, and also why controlling what we eat can have such an impact on not just on our gut, but on our entire health. So hopefully you will, I trust you will go into those resources and do a little digging for yourself. Fortunately, we have right here on the call our own resource for health and wellness, our fearless, vigilant, consistent, persistent health advocate and health influencer to the stars and to the globe, Mr. Terrence Hope, Enagic 6A distributor extraordinaire. Mr. Hope, are you with us?
C'est moi, tis I am here. Yes, absolutely, Dr. Singletary. And thank you for the introduction. But more importantly, thank you for all the incredibly valuable information that you bring. I love the diagrams that you show, the images that can show us the interior of the body so we understand more what's going on. Leaky gut syndrome, major factor in inflammation in the digestive tract, cause of so many problems. People have toxic diets. It wears away at the very sensitive lining of the digestive tract and does damage that they are just not expecting whatsoever, and damage that can actually cause long-term effects and long-term problems that they just don't imagine. We are given a diet, a nutrition plan, if we can call it that, from the time we are, 2 years old. I will give toddlers a break because I think that their parents give them the strained spinach and the strained, well, I'll say infants, because toddlers can be 2 and above, right? Infants a break because they get the strained spinach and the strained carrots and the organic this and the organic that and the little tiny cute little glass containers, and you feed them with little plastic little spoon, and it's wonderful. If they hit 2 years old, what are they eating? McDonald's. That's right, I said it. By name, brand name, Burger King, French fries that we can't even be sure are really food because we know they can be found without vacuuming regularly under your car seat a year later, intact. Look exactly as the same way you bought them. So, what is it really? So Twizzlers, Skittles, I pick on Twizzlers all day long, Skittles, all these junk foods, cookies and crackers and things that we don't even know what substances are really being used. We like to assume it's like, just, baked grains with chocolate goodness, but we don't know, and we take these things in our bodies over years. 2 years old, 5, 10, 15, and 20 years old. All those years, all the junk food comes in. What is it doing to that digestive tract? Yeah. So when persons end up with leaky gut syndromes, damage to the digestive tract, high toxicity levels, particles getting past the lining of the digestive tract into areas where they should not be going. They're supposed to be digested, broken down, led to the Krebs cycle, converted into glucose, then getting into the bloodstream, creating energy. But they're getting directly into areas. What are we doing to our bodies? MS patients, multiple sclerosis, are known as a foundation of their health condition to have leaky gut syndrome. And what they don't realize is that leaky gut syndrome led to particles of bacteria and toxicity getting direct access to their bloodstream, getting direct access to the myelin, the insulation around their nervous system, wearing that down to the point where the signals, electrical signals from the brain to the organs cannot travel properly. And you get interruptions. Therefore, they can't walk, right? There's interruptions. They have difficulty. They have stiffness. And everybody says they don't understand what it is. I just explained it. Who doesn't know this? Longer story. So we want to detox. We want to nourish. We want to get back to where the body was supposed to be. Produce, proteins. We look at the animal population. They're eating what? Produce, proteins, and water, for whatever access they have. Yeah. So I really appreciate your review of the gut, and I'd like to see that slide again maybe at some point later on during our talk today, because that was really great to see. what makes it unhealthy, what can make it healthy, and how we can be better, do better, be healthier, and live as we were designed to be. Uh, Self-healing with proper nutrition, hydration, and detoxification. We are here on the Kangen Water Health and Information Call, which is every Wednesday and every Saturday at the same time in your country, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, USA, 10 a.m. Pacific Time, USA, 7 a.m. Pacific Time, Hawaii. That's a guess. I think it's a good one. 10:30 p.m. in India, 9 p.m. in Dubai, 6 p.m. throughout the United Kingdom. That's England, Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, 6 p.m. in Nigeria. And we're glad to be here every Wednesday and Saturday to bring you the health information you need to be best for what your body should be getting to function at its optimum self. We are fortunate to have Dr. Lisa Singletary, MD, now retired, but lending her time, her knowledge, and her medical experience to explaining to us better what is proper for the body's function, the function of the organs, cellular dynamics, proper nutrition, so we can get more to where we're supposed to be. And we're all glad to be here together. And I'm glad to see our big, gigantic, healthy, happy family here on the Kangen Water Health and Information Call worldwide and here in the United States. My name, of course, once again, as Dr. Singletary said, is Terrence Hope. I'm a 6A, actually kind of almost 6A too, but we'll get to that. And I'm glad to bring my knowledge as well about Kangen water, the Kangen water machines, and everything we need to know about our units, to use them properly, get the best results from them, explain them properly, and enjoy good, healthy water in the process. So I'll give just a brief summary about our Kangen water machines. And I'll begin, as I say, at the beginning. So what is Kangen water? I want to see a raise of hands. I want to hear everybody say electrolyzed reduced water. We're getting away from the whole concept of, and thank you, Juanita, alkaline water. For years, our water has been called alkaline water. People have been saying your body is alkaline, drink alkaline water, eat alkaline foods, and you'll be healthy. Very well-meaning statements from very well-meaning people, but many of us were given the wrong information. And without having the opportunity to take the time to study what the science behind our machines is, we just didn't know. We just didn't know. So I'm here to tell you what it is. So our slogan is change your water, change your life. eMagic is the Kangen Water Company. This is how we refer to our motto. If you change your water, you'll change your life. And I'll go into some more details about that. Hey, come here, you. So here is one of our chief Kangen water machines. It's been our flagship unit for the past 17 years. And I want to hide my menu bar, hard to hide it, but that's okay, do the best I can. And this is the SD501. Our Kangen water machines are known to have 7 different types of water, 8.5, 9.0, 9.5 for hydration and detoxification. Clean water, which is really better termed as a neutral pH water for different purposes of drinking water. The acid water, also known as beauty water in our machines. Strong Kangen water, which is an 11.5 pH water, which is used for detoxing your foods, your fruits and vegetables, chicken, fish, meat. Soak them in strong Kangen water at 11.5 pH, and it will pull toxicity out of your foods. For those who are familiar with the Jewish traditions of koshering, think of it as a hyper koshering process where you're removing bacteria from your foods before you prepare your meals. Better for you. And of course, strong acid water. Strong acid water is known as a medical grade hypochlorous acid that will kill bacteria and viruses. It's good for sterilizing surfaces. Put it in a spray bottle, spray your door handles and various things, and use it in purposes that can keep your home and your environments more bacteria and virus free. So, oops, this is the Kangen 8 machine, also known as the K8, very popular unit in the world these days. I cannot get rid of this little menu I've got on here, but hopefully it's not blocking your view. The K8 machine, it is our top of the line unit. It has a universal power supply system within it that will allow you to travel to any country in the world and plug it in to any electrical socket in any country without the need for the, what do you call that?
Power converter.
Yes, electrical power converter. Yes, thank you so much. And there's my title. I think my slides got a little scrambled. Electrolyzed reduced water. What is Kangen water? It is electrolyzed reduced water by definition. This is the phrase, the term that you will use to research the benefits of Kangen water and what it might do for your health needs. Kangen water is water produced in an electrical process where electricity hits water directly. When you hit water with electricity, here's your H2O. By the way, Dr. Singletary, is my menu bar blocking my images at all?
It is not.
It is not, so it's just me concerned about nothing. Okay, so here's our H2O water molecule. And when we hit that with electricity, as I like to say, clow, you get a production of ions, molecule structures that have an antioxidant effect within the body. Here's a diagram of what goes on within the Kangen water machines and generally what goes on in electrolysis where electricity is hitting water. And various ions and molecules are being produced here. H2 is also known as molecular, hydrogen. Many other elements that have an antioxidant effect are present. There are documents you can go to look up the different antioxidant ions and substances that are present within electrolyzed reduced water. Here's an article from the Science Direct publication under the subject heading of Trends in Food Science and Technology, Trends in Food Science and Technology. I like to talk about the body as being self-healing, yeah? I make a reference to the animals in the wild because while they have their share of health issues, we find that overall, you're not seeing the same volume or consistency in the type of disease that you're seeing within humans. Even the deer are known to suffer from sickle cell anemia. They call it by a different name, but the same outcome is present. If they are as animals in the presence of human industry, where there's a lot of toxic runoff and they are drinking the water present or eating the produce in that region, they have been known to get cancers and other types of diseases. But overall, if we think about the humans and the chronic illnesses that have become so pervasive, so ubiquitous, so ever present, and where people have become so accustomed to them being within the community, you don't see the same type of expanse of disease over the animal population. I'm going to explain what I think why that is. Humans, friends, our family, people we know all over the United States and many industrialized countries are known to have a plethora of statistically speaking, many people have kidney failure, heart disease, cancers of many kinds, many organs affected, high blood pressure, chronic pain, neuropathy. Dialysis centers have sprouted up over the past 20 years, all throughout the United States and many other industrialized countries, where they were not present in the 1950s, 1940s, 1930s, where kidney failure didn't have the same statistical height that it has now. Cancers, diabetes, high blood pressure. These days, they're known to be the Black community disease, high blood pressure and kidney failure and what is it? Diabetes. Mississippi is known as the diabetes belt, right? They don't talk about the environmental factors that are occurring. Look at that same Black population in America 50 years ago, 1950s. My grandparents and parents will tell me that as children and, grow and living in the United States, the average person they knew didn't have any of these diseases back then. So if it was genetic, where did it come from? We have to consider the environmental factors. So animals in the wild, produce, protein, water. This is their intake for nutrition. At full nutrition, your body is best at self-healing and its self-healing abilities. The animals in the wild are primarily getting what they need. The humans are drinking Coca-Cola, Sprite, 7-Up, eating McDonald's, eating candies, things that are not really foods. But you have to understand something. When you look at junk foods on the market, you have to ask yourself why they are present, why they are available. It's about profits, my friends. You see, there's only a few things on the planet to actually eat. Whole foods, as the supermarket's name would say, produce, protein, yeah? Water, there's only a few things on the planet to drink. Water, there's juice that comes from fruits and vegetables, which is once again produce. Milk, if you choose to drink that from other animals. That's it. So if I want to make more profits and I want to tap into the food market, well, I can go out and start a farm and grow and food and sell it to the population, or I can invent things that are not food and tell you they are. What in the world is a Twizzler? Where is it on the food chain? What is its purpose in you eating that? What benefit is it giving you? How is it made? What is it made of? Why does it feel like plastic? What are you actually taking into your body? Things that we never think about because we say, oh, it came from the manufacturer, it must be safe. Really? We've been drawn into too many things that are not beneficial. So eat proper nutrition, get proper nutrition, proper hydration, detoxification. Your body will be most self-healing and you get what you need. You know that your body is self-healing from the surface of the skin to the depths of the bones. If you have a scratch or a cut on the surface of your skin, you put a little Band-Aid on it, and wait a few days to see how it heals. It could heal with a scar and you hope that it doesn't, but it's going to heal because you've been bumping and scraping since you were a kid and no one was ever alarmed about your body's repair ability. Oh, walk it off, kid. Put a Band-Aid on it. It'll be okay. And wait a week, right? The body is self-healing at the surface of the skin. If there's a break to a bone or a fracture to a bone, that the body is also self-healing at the bone level. You just put a cast in it so that it's staying still and set in the position it's supposed to be in so that as it heals itself, it heals evenly. So, what you may not have known is that although it's apparent to you that at the surface of the skin, at the depths of the bones, your body heals itself, but you may not have been aware of the fact that that same self-healing ability is prevalent down to the cellular level as long as you've got proper nutrition, hydration, and detoxification. Body must be detoxed. The pH of the body, it ranges. Different organs have different pH levels. Showing on this chart, you can see that the blood pH, the stomach pH, the digestive tract pH, intestines pH, all different. They all vary. And they all maintain their own pH levels simultaneously. Kangen water, what is it really doing? Kangen water detoxes the body. It removes toxicity. It allows your body to, once detoxed, be in the state that it was meant to be in to function properly. Once again, I've shown you the lightning strike hitting our water, causing the division or breakdown of the water molecule. And in the other image, I showed you the production of different ions, molecular structures that are antioxidant. The antioxidant effect of Kangen water is what allows it to detox your body so that your pH levels can be easier maintained by your body's self-governing functions in a non-toxic environment. Add to that proper nutrition, you get what you need for full function. I'm going to pause there so we can take questions from our audience and turn it back over to Dr. Singletary. Dr. Singletary.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hope. You mentioned the food industry and changes over time. And we took classes in this during public health, and they made this statement that the most inexpensive thing that the food company could do to increase, and that includes restaurants, fast foods, all kinds of divisions of the food industry. But the number one thing they could do to increase profits was to increase portion size. And think about what a serving was for an adult at a restaurant, even at McDonald's was. When I was little, a regular hamburger and a small fry, and I don't know how many ounces the soda was, but that was the standard adult serving. And then at some point along, the timeline, they started increasing the size and increasing the sizes of the beverages, increasing the size of the fries, increasing the number of patties on the burger. Now you got Whoppers, and I mean, that's Burger King, but the same thing has happened in restaurants. They just pile on the servings because that's cheaper for them to draw you in with increased serving size rather than a healthy variety or quality upgrade of the food. So very, very crucial points as far as the impact of the food industry on our eating preferences. Also with children, yeah, I mean, how many times do we see kids raised on organic fruits and vegetables, and then they get a taste of ice cream and there's no going back? No, I'm not saying ice cream is wrong, but it's the sugar,
Right.
They get that and the parents use it just to quiet them down. So here, eat, snack on this. And it changes the kids, it changes them, not just their taste buds, but I believe it changes their neurotransmitters and sets up this cycle of food preference that is not healthy. So we've got some questions.
Sure do. Beverly Smith.
Beverly's got her hand raised. Juanita has her hand raised. And Robin sent me a question directly. So did you invite Beverly to unmute?
Let me make sure that everyone has the opportunity for that. Beverly. Okay, there you go. Beverly can now unmute.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
I haven't been with you in a long time, and the subject was brought up just recently about leaky gut. So I said, let me get on and listen to what you have to say this morning. I know I enjoyed both of your presentations. Dr. Lisa, in one of your slides, it showed the word gluten. And I recently found that I have an allergy, with gluten. I like to eat Mediterranean, and they had the pita bread, and I would have it quite a bit. But as time went on, bread started giving me problems. My eyes would start watering, hurting, and it seemed like now whenever I come in contact with something with gluten, I really have a bad reaction to it. So I was just wondering, maybe having it so much over the years has created that problem, or just the way it's processed. I don't know. Just a question.
Well, what is gluten? That's the question. And, or I'll say understanding what gluten is will help to answer that question. And you use the word allergy, and there's several reactions that we can have to gluten. Allergy is one. I don't think that's what you have. I think you have a gluten intolerance, but the bottom line is, yeah, it should be avoided. So what is gluten? Gluten is a protein that's produced by wheat, barley, rye, and oats. And the protein is part of the plant's defense mechanism because the plants don't want to be eaten. So they produce these indigestible proteins. And as it happens, many animals, including, but particularly for our discussion, humans, don't have the enzymes to break down those proteins of gluten. And so proteins are large, complex strings of amino acid. And a protein can have thousands and thousands of amino acids. And our enzymes in our bodies are designed to break those down to peptides of 2 or 3 amino acids, or even single amino acids, so that they can cross over into those small 1 to 7 nanometer gaps in the normal gut lining. And but we don't have the enzyme to break the gluten down small enough. And so when we ingest gluten, there are large particles of proteins bombarding our gastrointestinal tracts and causing inflammation and eventually busting through the lining and causing inflammatory reactions on the insides of our bodies once they get to those Peyer's patches. And some people, when that happens, it just triggers various reactions over the body based on what is being inflamed. And some people that have gluten allergies, they actually have anaphylactic response, like they can't breathe when they take in gluten. So they just can't eat it. It's a death-defying feat to eat, a pancake or something like that. And they have to carry an EpiPen just in case there's some hidden gluten in something that they're eating. So that's the extreme reaction. Then when you get to the celiac diseases, and irritable bowel, it's not quite as extreme as far as life and death, but it's very, very painful inflammation in the gut, and which can trigger diarrhea or constipation, just gut malfunction. Then step it back a little more, then you have gluten intolerance. Now, technically, everybody's gluten intolerant because we don't have the the enzyme to break down the gluten protein. But more people are affected, or people are affected by it on a spectrum. And a lot of people just don't know that they are gluten intolerant. And what I will ask people to do when they take me up on my challenge, a lot of people don't, is just go for 2 weeks without bread or pasta, wheat, barley, rye, and oats. And they're like, what can I eat? What can I eat? Potatoes don't have gluten. Rice doesn't have gluten. So there are alternatives. If you're not on the low carb or keto pathway, there are alternatives to wheat, barley, rye, and oats. But that is not unusual to develop symptoms anywhere in the body because it's triggering an inflammatory reaction in the gut. And those inflammatory chemicals travel through the bloodstream to many, many different places.
Yep, that sounds about right. my eyes really are affected when I.
So
intolerance.
eyes, skin, people with psoriasis, people with all kinds of symptoms. You can trace it right back to gluten. So in the show resources, there's a video, like I said, by Dr. Peter Glidden called 12 Bad Foods. It's on YouTube. Okay. And there are 12 foods you absolutely must avoid. Okay. And he tells you in detail why you have to avoid those foods. Now, I always get pushback on oatmeal. People are like, well, they're gluten-free oats now. Well, they can say that, but it's a marketing ploy because oats have the protein in them that we cannot digest. It's just got a different name. It's called, what's it called? Avenin. Right. So they can, and it's a cousin of gluten. So they can say the oats are gluten-free, but they have a protein that is inflammatory to the gut.
Okay.
Scratch a lie, found a thief. Everyone's always trying to be slick.
They're trying to be slick. Yes. So
Yeah.
not everything that says it's gluten-free
It's
is
beneficial.
yeah. The gluten-free label is not carte blanche
Yeah.
to
Seeing a lot in the stores now.
safely eat. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all
You know,
they show.
such valuable information there. And I was going to ask you specifically about oatmeal. You know, when I was a kid, I used to love oatmeal all the time. Not like my cousins, they didn't like it, but I used to love it. And you come to find out, you know, it's creating digestive issues all along. You have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. People who are quote unquote normal, when I give them the gluten-free challenge, then they'll come back in a week or 2 weeks. They're like, I never had more energy. I never felt better. But they thought they were normal, but they were really not reaching their maximum potential as far as energy, as far as well-being, feeling good. And like I said, it's a spectrum. You know, there are people that will go through their entire lives eating gluten and to one degree or another and think they're not having problems. And so
And you know, and we have no idea because we're marketed to what foods to eat. And culturally, we get acclimated to these foods and we get an emotional connection. You know, oh, when I was a kid, my mama used to make me this. And so when I eat it, I think of, you know, this beautiful time. And therefore I want to eat it all the time. And, you know, we have a big struggle in our hands. We come to find out, so when you know better, you try to do better. And now we have the knowledge, but now we have to get to the next level of breaking the emotional connection. I was explaining one of our other calls where, you know, we're designed to have emotional connections to what we're eating because it perpetuates healthy eating for generation to generation through millennia. I gave an example of one that I see. I guess I watch animals as they go about, but watching the deer and the fawns following behind, and the mother deer eating the flowers or whatever, and the fawns coming behind and eating behind whatever she was eating. So that's how they learn what to eat, right? And they'll grow and do the same. Well, we do the same thing. We eat certain things, and whatever we're given as children, we get an emotional connection to, which we're designed to have to perpetuate the proper eating. And we pass on whatever that is. And so manufacturers will come in and cut in to that bonding time with us and our nutrition and give us things to bond with that never should have been in the process.
Right.
Twizzlers, you know, if this show was like, you know, internationally broadcast, Twizzlers would probably calling me up, you know, but you know, you put Twizzlers in there and where does it belong in nutrition? And people get, you know, emotional connections to different types of foods. You know, Dr. Singletary, I had a question that came earlier because I believe you are a native Marylander. Yes? No?
Yes.
Yes?
I lived in DC for 2 months.
The DC metropolitan area.
I commuted to Maryland.
Okay. Okay. Because someone gave me a question earlier today about crabs, and I gave them a recommendation to eat more, fish like salmon and tuna steak, and maybe top of the food chain in the sea feeders, as opposed to the seafoods, which are known to be the crabs and the clams and the and the bottom, lobsters and things that absorb a lot of contaminants that are in the sea, in the waterways. I got the emotional kickback of, wait a minute, I can't eat crabs? Crabs are bad? There's an issue with crabs? So I'm aware of the absorption of more high toxic levels that those types of beings take in. And I thought to defer to you, since you are a native Marylander, maybe what you might be able to share about clams, if you know anything about them. It's kind of off the cuff, and maybe their toxic substance presence, or.
I used to be a member of the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. I did part of my master's work on the Chesapeake Bay, and it's an amazing study of that estuary, which is where saltwater and freshwater mix, and the unique flora and fauna there, the effects of dams affecting the nutrition, the effects of fertilizer running off into the bay, toxic waste from chemical factories, etc. All of that I've studied very, very much. And I remember the color of the water of the bay when I was a child, and how far you could see through the water as opposed to today. Now, today's a little bit, they're getting a little bit, but I don't know what the last Chesapeake Bay grade was. I think it was a C-. It had been much lower. So the bay's coming back. But even at its worst, I would rather eat crabs from the Chesapeake Bay than from other waters that were shipped in. A lot, and you don't even know these days. A lot of times, and I'll say I haven't had crabs in a long time, and I love crabs. I love them. And did I say I love them? I went to Florida to this restaurant. It was like, some seaside grill, and I ordered a crab cake. Oh my goodness. How you want an exercise in controlling your response to disappointment. Order a crab cake from anywhere that's not a Maryland crab restaurant. And when I say that, the restaurant has to have crab in the name, That's just, I'm kidding about that. There are some fine restaurants that have great crab cakes. But yes, pollution is an issue. But I can tell you, when I eat crab meat from Venezuela, a lot of crab is brought in. And you gotta read the label. Louisiana, we get a lot of Louisiana crab meat. Now, I would much rather have Louisiana crab meat than Venezuelan crab meat, but there's nothing like Maryland crab meat. So I don't know if that's emotional, but I can tell you, I can tell if I've had a crab cake and I forget to ask the restaurant, where's the crab meat from? I can tell by the next day from certain reactions in my body. Oh, this was Argentinian, or this was Venezuelan. I know it. But what I like to do is, what I've gotten in the habit of doing was I actually ask the waiter to ask the chef, what is the source of the seafood, particularly the crab meat. And the reason I haven't had it in years is because the answer so often comes back Venezuela, or some other country or state. So, but it's not because of the pollution; it's because of the price.
You're funny. I was going to say, but so now crabs.
But wait a minute, wait, Beverly, did we answer your question?
Yes, yes. I just wanted to say that I grew up on Twizzlers, Terrence.
Well,
That was my favorite.
just saying.
Yes,
Thank you,
Doctor.
Beverly. Thank you for
Yes,
joining the
Doctor.
call. Thank you for
Thank
asking
you,
your
thank you,
question.
Beverly. So,
Thank you.
so seafood as a substance in and of itself, outside of where it is harvested, I understood that the bottom feeding crabs and clams and lobsters and oysters and blah, 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 are absorbing the waste product of the sea creatures as a whole, and therefore through that were more toxic per se, which is where I understood that they were not best to eat, just as a general rule. Did you have any idea about that as well?
Well, you
What?
made this.
My precious clams, my precious crabs, can't be.
No, you made the statement that we eat produce and protein. The protein is the other animals. So whether the animals on land or in the water, there's going to be waste involved. You know, I don't really, I mean, I grew up hearing that myself. And in certain religious discussions, there are discussions of scavengers, whatnot, but
That's everything. Yeah.
yeah. And you know, cloven or not cloven and all this. But I really think the true issue of the time when many of those rules were made was the lack of refrigeration, the lack of, you know, just, I think we don't know what, we don't know what goes on in the kitchens, but if you have a place that you trust as far as hygiene, as far as freshness, I mean, those are the things that, and sourcing, those are the things that I look at more so than, I mean, is it a quote unquote scavenger or not? The scavengers are eating, you know, the little fish are eating the big fish are eating the little fish, and the little fish are eating the plankton, and I mean, it's the shrimp are eating the plankton, that, you know, so I don't know.
So, and so of course, for my personal background, without, you know, doing a specific study on it, well, I grew up in Jewish traditions. So I grew up primarily eating more kosher food than not. And my grandparents involved with koshering foods, and there were certain things we just didn't eat.
Sure.
Now, I have to look at it closer, more specifically, because I thought I'd seen information before that talked specifically about the seafood as scavengers and having a higher toxic load. Therefore, when people are eating them, they can be more susceptible to toxic increase and therefore health issues because of it. I think even specifically gout had been named a number of times regarding crabs. Now, I hadn't looked at it directly. It was more, okay, I heard this and then, okay. So let me look at more specifically. Maybe I could find something regarding that. Because the person I spoke to today wanted to eat some crabs, and that was her emotional connection. So I was like, So anyway, maybe worth a closer look. Oh, you give me that look. Give me that look like don't look at my crabs and don't study that.
Oh no, study. Study on, my brother.
Well said. Well said. You had somebody who wrote a question to you?
Yes. Robin said she's been using the water for about a month now and doesn't see any results. Please advise.
My recommendation for her is to increase the amount of water she's drinking. Many people can drink Kangen water.
Well, maybe we can ask her how much she's drinking and what pH.
So I recommend 32 ounces 4 times a day for a person who's over 125 pounds.
So Robin, I think you're unmuted.
Hello, how are you guys doing?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm fine, thank you.
So I am on the 8.0 and I do 64 to 128 ounces a day. It varies. But Terrence gave me the whole rundown earlier, but he wanted me to just come back and ask you just to get your insight as well.
Oh yeah, I was recommending you ask her a question about the good food, bad food list, because Robin is the one who had the question about the crabs.
I did. I did. I was hurt. I was so hurt. I was like, can I do it at least once a month? He's like, no. I'm like, what?
But to answer your first question, so the audience would know, I recommend people, now Robin said 8.0, she actually meant 8.5, because the machine settings go 8.5, 9.0, 9.5. So I recommend people to start at the 8.5 for the first 30 days at 75% of their body weight in ounces. So if you are over 125 pounds, I say 75% of your body weight. Generally speaking, I recommend that at about a gallon a day above that weight. So 32 ounces 4 times a day equals 1 gallon or 128 ounces. So in the morning, everyone should wake up. First thing in the morning they should do is to drink 32 ounces of water. That gives your digestive tract a higher volume of water, hydration, to both press upon the digestive tract and hydrate it, giving it the fluid substance it needs for an effective removal of toxicity. When we sleep at night, our body is actually removing toxicity. When we wake in the morning, we all have to go to the bathroom. Your body needs enough water to flush it. In the back of my mind, I give an example of the toilet itself, and the fact there's a tank of water pushing things away. Think of your body needing that tank of water in the substance of 32 ounces at least to have enough to flush and push. Yeah. And that way you can clean out better, and that's going to detox you better. Therefore, you'll get better results when you drink water, but in particular with Kangen, because it's a detoxing water, you get a better detoxification. So 32 ounces in the morning when you first wake, to come and meet at the doorway, your digestive tract's desire to remove toxicity. Follow that again at 12 noon before lunch, mid-afternoon, 3 o'clock or so, evening time before dinner between 6 and 7 or so that you're detoxing 4 times a day, you're hydrating, and your body's at a level where it's removing toxins more effectively. Now, as you remove the toxins more effectively, you can see a better result in your body's recovery, because you're actually detoxing at a rate that it can optimize, toxic elimination, and then get to where it's supposed to be in terms of cellular and organ function without a toxic load present. And think about this: the average person gets up in the morning, if they don't know about water drinking, and I know this because all my life I didn't drink water in the morning at all, and I was an athlete, most of my life and didn't drink as much water as I do now, which is like, wow. Average person gets up in the morning, gets dressed, whatever, and their breakfast mornings might start with, particularly if they're on the run, a cup of coffee and a donut or a bagel. There's no real high level of hydration there. And they might be going to the bathroom in the morning to remove toxicity, but there's nowhere near enough water to handle anything. They might go a step further and have what they call breakfast, with their their eggs and vegetables and fruit or something, and a glass of pineapple juice or grape juice or cranberry juice or something, and then they go on their day. There's no hydration involved. So whatever toxic load the body was ready to get rid of the night before, it's going to do a degree of that. But without the full hydration, it's not getting rid of it all. And now you're bringing more food in behind that, which will eventually allow your body to push out as the course of the days, whatever go, but you're not really getting the full detoxification. So your body ends up with a greater toxic load because it doesn't have a full hydration volume to flush and push out what it needs to get out of the body. 8.5 for the first 30 days, go up to 9.0 after that. And then, if you are of an average weight for your size, 9.5 is fine. But if you're carrying any extra weight, if you find yourself overweight for your height and size, go ahead and stay at the 8.5 level, maybe testing the 9.0, but stay more so at the 8.5 level, because the 9.5 is representing a larger volume of antioxidant ions, therefore a stronger detoxification. So if you're carrying extra weight, you got more fatty cells in the body, those fatty cells are acting as an immune response. They're actually vacuoling or absorbing toxins that are protecting your major organs from an inordinate toxic load. So when you're detoxing, you're removing more toxicity from the fatty cells as well. At a 9.5, carrying extra weight, it's a greater volume of toxic removal, and it could overwhelm your digestive tract's ability to handle that load. And if your body can't get rid of the load by going to the bathroom properly, that toxic load will kick back up into the bloodstream. You're gonna end up with dizziness, nausea, whatever the issues, but it won't allow your body to detox. That's why I recommend people to watch out for jumping to 9.5 when your body might need to detox at a lower level more effectively. So I'll pause with that.
Thank you, Mr. Hope. I did have you triggered another, and my bottom line, if the crabs are from Maryland, I think you could eat them.
Well, there you go, Robin. There you go.
Now I want to know where you live, because if you're having crabs every month, I gotta be there. But
now you understand, Robin, why I brought the Marylander who can relate to your issue and who happens to have a master's in the water quality and ecology of the Chesapeake Bay. So there you go.
But Mr. Hope, you talked about being an athlete, and in the gluten discussion, I remember, was it Jim Fix, the runner? Was he the runner that? Okay, forget the runner, but the breakfast cereal, I think it was grape nuts, and it was a runner that was a proponent of grape nuts. He was advertising grape nuts, and he died of a heart attack. So gluten, inflammation.
Wow. And you bring up a really good point there, because athletes are always plastered on the cover of the Wheaties boxes.
Exactly.
And that was just inflammation all the way.
Yeah. Okay, so Juanita has her hand up. Welcome to the call, Juanita.
Okay, there we go. Wow, can you hear me, Dr. Lisa?
Yes, we can.
Okay, is it noise in the background better today?
You sound better today, actually, yes, now that you mention it.
Well, as you see, I have my Lucina here with me today. And actually, I'm going to beg to differ with you folks on the East Coast, because we know without a doubt the best seafood does come from the Pacific Northwest. And I can prove that because right now I'm eating farm fresh eggs with scrambled with a piece of black cod, a little bit of mayo with olive oil, avocado oil, and dill, and that's it. And you can only maybe I think 8-ounce portions, but I make it into 2 or 3 meals. So.
Well, I see we started something with the seafood conversation.
I'm going to ask Lucina a question because she's a food expert and she's helping me go gluten-free.
Okay, Lucina.
Lucina, what kind of seafood is the crab? Where do we get it?
Oh,
Mhm. I want to go find some crab.
oh, it comes from Alaska. There's a lady that has her business. I'm sorry, by the way, hi everybody. Her name is Nina. Her business is called Nina C. You guys wanna look at her. Her husband is
So the seafood you have there comes from Alaska.
Yes.
And when you say
Yeah.
seafood, do you mean cod or do you mean like crabs?
Right now it's cod, but we've done the prawns and they're huge. When we get them at Cena, they're like 2 pounds for maybe $70.
55,
Oh,
56.
56. And you get their 80 count
Mhm.
Did you say clams?
Prawns.
prawns.
We call
What?
them shrimp.
Prawns are different than shrimp. They're
I know,
different.
I'm just saying we call them.
Yeah,
We call them.
And do you all have crabs out there on the Pacific West Coast?
we do.
They also bring them to Hawaii.
They're what?
Where we get ours from is from Alaska.
And so are you saying that the crabs that you get from Alaska are better than the crabs that are in Maryland?
Yes.
Oh,
It's a-
blasphemy, blasphemy.
It's all in the,
Why don't you order some and I'll order some from you guys and we'll
Yeah.
compare.
That would be good.
Sounds
Where
like a
would I
good plan.
You didn't have to order that from Sinai. Try them.
I wouldn't be opposed. Hey, I love Alaskan
I
king crab.
have not tasted a better shrimp ever nowhere. Matter of fact, yesterday I was cooking some shrimp that I bought from Safeway. That it says that it comes from Argentina, and and I bought it just because it was wild caught. I always look that it's not farmed.
Yeah,
So
wild caught is important.
when I open up the bag, it smelled similar to ammonia.
Mm.
And I said, okay, once I cook it, it might go away, the smell. When once I cook it, the smell went even stronger. So I had to completely put him
Throw
in
it
the
away.
freezer, put him in the freezer until the garbage truck comes and picks up the garbage.
I love the Argentinian people.
Yeah.
Some of my best friends are from Argentina, but I don't eat any seafood from there.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Now, if I were in Argentina, maybe I would eat the seafood there, but it's just, I don't know if it's the way they package it for the
they
trip
export something.
or, and I know planes fly, with the air travel. They have these executive suites at some hospitals and, the sheikhs and the kings and, princes and princesses have their suites and they'll fly in fresh food every day from their country. So I know that there can be fresh seafood flown in from Argentina, but I have never met an Argentinian crab in Maryland that I liked.
I wonder, and I wonder if we use the 11.5 to soak the shrimp,
I was
would it
gonna
make
say
a
that
difference?
it would definitely, I've done it with all my meats. Before Lucina, I would go to the regular stores and just buy whatever looked good. And I knew that if I brought it home and soaked it in, even the 9.5 would
I've
do
heard.
it.
Yeah.
Do that with the veggies. And I don't have the 11.5 yet. I'm teaching Lucina about the machine.
I'd be curious if she ever purchased anyone, even for a test, to see if the 11.5 would make a difference.
We can always try, but
Of course, what is that ammonia? What is that ammonia then?
Yeah.
It may
I
be a
think you
packing
don't know why.
chemical.
Maybe the shrimp got bad.
Is it a decomposition?
I don't know. Maybe the shrimp were not good anymore. Yes, it looks like I bought them on Sunday. I put them in the fridge and I was cooking them yesterday and they were bad. But
Mm,
I don't know if they really were bad or that was the smell they had.
yeah. Well, do you know where Argentina is?
South, way south. I
It's
don't know.
way, 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 way south,
Yeah,
like like South Pole type south.
yeah.
So, you know, again,
Well, that's the example I was giving you is that I have not eaten a shrimp that tastes better than Sina sees.
yeah. Now, lobster. Maine is famous for lobster, or you know, the Northeast, and I've had lobster in Maryland. That was, you know, I'll take the crabs, right? But when I went to Maine and ate lobster, Maine lobster in Maine,
Mhm.
freshly plucked from the icy waters of the Atlantic, you know, fully fed, fully hydrated, like had been grazing, not in a tank for 3 days, whole different experience.
Yeah.
So, I mean, almost to the point where I could definitely understand why the Mainers that came to Maryland had no interest in learning how to pick crabs at all. But I didn't understand it until I was in Maine eating Maine lobster fresh from the Atlantic. So, you know,
You know, Dr. Lisa,
but
kind of,
fortunately there's no gluten in lobster, no gluten in, but you
because
watch for the
lobster
gluten in the
meat-
crab cake, crab cakes, right? People put crackers and fillers and stuff. That's gluten that X's out the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about whole crabs that you pick. Yes, Juanita.
I'm just thinking about the waters, because I've lived back east. I lived in Massachusetts. And as you guys all know, I have the freedom to move anywhere. And I'm searching. But in the east, where you're talking about Maine, I remember, you know, the conversations and going to meals like that. But in Alaska, there's no population. So I think the waters are much, much cleaner when they're fished from this company that Lucina introduced me to, Sina, and the husband is the fisherman, and he's up there all week long right now, catching fresh, and then they package it themselves, individually wrapped cod, and then it comes to me, you know, or the consumer. And I can only eat like maybe 4 or 5 of the prawns because they're so rich, or a portion of the cod because it's so rich. And my body's just getting used to the change, lifestyle change. But I've got my little list here of things, and I put on the very top Dale Gibson. Dale, I saw your picture on there a minute ago. It looks like you're home from the hospital.
No, he's
Not
not.
yet? Oh, he was looking good.
He looks
Like
good.
he's sitting up and
So
okay,
I want to
Dr.
share
Pierce.
something just definitively. So when we're talking about health, okay, and we're talking about the 3-pronged approach, whatever approach, I say whatever because for nutrition, just for nutrition, I think of 5 steps. And the first step is first, do no harm. It's eating and drinking and avoiding, or, you know, paying attention to what you eat and drink and avoiding the things that cause inflammation in the body. And what you avoid, I hope I said that earlier on this call, but I'm saying it now. What you avoid, is much more important than what you choose to eat. I know I've said it on other calls. So pay attention to the bad foods, right? So oats, fried foods, absolutely nothing fried. So oats, I think we've discussed even gluten-free, why they're on the bad food list, because they still have that protein, avenine, that causes gastric inflammation. Fried foods, when you fry something, it causes a change in not just the coating that you fry it in, but even if you fry something without coating, it causes heterocyclic amines, acrylamides, trans fats. All these things cause inflammation and possibly cancer. Oils, no oils of any kind. This includes olive oil. Now, if you're in Italy and you have an olive tree in your backyard and you can press the oil, that's great. But as soon as that olive is violated by the crushing or cutting or smashing or squeezing, as soon as those cells are violated or damaged in the processing, that oil is exposed to oxygen. And that starts a process of oxidation. And oxidation, again, causes inflammation in the body, and it causes, can cause cancer. Well done meat. Same issue. When the meats are, when the meats have those grill marks and, you know, the crispy ends, and it's called the Maillard reaction. It's a reaction of the heat with the proteins and flavor, but it causes those cancerous inflammatory compounds. And so well done meat, no go. You want to bake, stew, saute, you want, or, you know, not getting medium or medium rare beef, no deli meats, right? Nitrates and nitrites. No carbonated drinks. So back to the nitrates and nitrites, again, causing inflammation, causing cancerous compounds. Carbonated drinks, the carbonation is not the weak acid, but it's a stronger acid, and it affects our stomach acid. And some people say you can have carbonated drinks between meals, but we know what it does as far as ORP, causing causing oxidation in our bodies. So we want to avoid carbonated drinks altogether. Baked potato skins, similar to the well done meat, in dry heat, those baked potato skins develop, I get them mixed up, but it's either acrylamides or heterocyclic amines. I think this baked potato skin, the proteins develop acrylamides. The vegetables that are roasted in dry heat cause heterocyclic amines. I could be wrong. It's one or the other though. And then wheat, barley, and rye are the other glutens. But look at all we have on the good foods: eggs, filtered water. Our water is filtered, but is also electrolyzed, reduced, even better. Yeah, we don't like plastic bottles, especially if they're not designated BPA free. Raw nuts, great, but peanuts we avoid because of aflatoxin. They get mold, aspergillus mold on them. Buckwheat, couscous, beef, fish, chicken, pork, lamb, rice, millet, quinoa, vegetables, fruits, coffee, tea, green tea, dairy products if you're not allergic, butter, we love, salt to taste, beans, wine, beautiful. Why avoiding gluten is critical? Gluten is inflammatory. Number one, ding, ding, ding. Interferes with absorption. So the little bit of nutrition that might be in your food can't get into your body. Causes intestinal sludge and blockage. Is associated with autoimmune disease because of the leaky gut syndrome. Significantly raises blood sugar, and it does affect the endocrine and hormonal system. So all of these discussions of wonderful seafood, that's great. But first is avoiding the bad foods. So seafoods can become bad depending on how you cook them, right? So sauteed in a little butter, beautiful. Fried, gone. I mean, don't even think about it. All right, so first step is good food and water. Second step is getting the 90 nutrient complex we talk about. Third step is focusing on gut health. No, third step is antioxidants to help to decrease oxidative stress. Fourth step is focusing on gut health. And the fifth step, sometimes you need an extra boost. We call them secret sauces for one system or another. You need specific minerals, or you need some calcium, magnesium, you need astaxanthin or certain antioxidants for your eyes, or, to fill in nutrient gaps that we've had for maybe decades. So, yeah, Mr. Hope did say he wanted us to take a peek at the PowerPoint slide. And I just want to just remind us that all of these cell clusters here are just inflammation waiting to happen. They're there for our protection, but when we eat the wrong things, they will trigger inflammatory reactions in our body. So we want to eat the good foods so that we have, so we don't make inflammation a chronic problem and then set ourselves up for the consequences of chronic inflammation. And all you have to do is look at the top 10 causes of diseases, and they are the consequences of chronic inflammation, except for the accidents, right? But for chronic diseases, number one, start looking at your diet. All righty, so thank you so much for joining us today on the Kangen Water Health and Information, or on Kangen Water Radio. Here we go. So, ta-da. I do want to thank you for joining us today. We will be here on Wednesday, and you might have noticed from last Wednesday that on Wednesdays and Saturdays, we are using this very same Zoom that you are on, Kangen Water Radio Zoom. And if the link doesn't work, you go to zoom.us, hit join meeting, and type in this meeting ID number, 787-842-3730. If you have questions between now and Wednesday, you can call or text. Here are our numbers: area code 866-526-4368 in the US, +44 in the UK, 0800-086-9793. And in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, +971-080-000-184589. Or you could email us at kwnation7, that's kwnation, the number 7, @gmail.com. The replay will be on later today on YouTube. Just search Kangen Water Radio and look in the description box, and you'll see all the articles, resources, the PowerPoint, videos. I'm going to put all the goodness in there underneath the video in the description box. Please, though, when you do go to Kangen Water Radio on YouTube, subscribe, thumbs up, love us, share, but mostly subscribe. Okay, and here are our websites for more information. So thank you everyone for joining us today. And thank you for those of you who are on the replay. We've made it to the end of call number 416, where we explored the leaky gut and the syndromes that it causes. All right. So again, thank you for all. Thank you all for joining us. I'm Dr. Lisa, and we're so glad you're here today. We will see you on Wednesday, same Kangen Water Radio time. That's 1 Eastern, and same Kangen Water Radio station. All right, everybody. Love you, love you, love you. Thank you for those of you who joined and asked questions and typed in the chat. We love the interaction, and we're gonna love seeing you here next time. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Mwah.